Hello, and welcome to Tensegrity Adventures. Today, I'm going to show you how I've been making these little 6-strut icosahedron tensegrities using paper drinking straws and rubber bands. And so the straws I've been using are from Naturlich. I like them. They're heavy-duty paper straws, and you can buy them on Amazon. And you don't have to buy 1,000, you can buy 100. And I'm using size 19 rubber bands. You can get cheap Chinese rubber bands. I like these a little bit better. They're made in the United States and they're just a little bit higher quality, but it actually doesn't matter. Any rubber band that's long enough to stretch. You need to have a rubber band that's going to have a reasonable amount of tension as you stretch it across your straws. We're going to cut these straws in half today. You don't have to cut the straws in half. You could buy longer rubber bands and make bigger tensegrities, but you just want one that has some tension in it when you stretch it across the length of the straw that you plan on using. And these rubber bands work well with a half straw. So we're going to cut our straws in half. Now these straws, I believe, are 7 3/4 inches, which is 198 millimeters. So that's 99 millimeters. And so I'm just going to mark 99 millimeters. And we're going to need 2 more. We're going to need 6 straws in total, so we'll cut 3 in half. And just going to mark them. Now, you can see that after I cut these, the tip of the straw gets a little bit squished, so you want to bring that back to life. Actually, I'm going to get a tool. There's a couple different tools that I've found work really well for that. Just any pointy thing that you got, you can put it in. See how that's squished together? You can just put that in, and it brings it right back to life. You can also use a punch. The punches work really well. There's also, this one's a little squished. Put that in there. Poke it in. You get a nice round hole. And I've also 3D printed these. And if you have a 3D printer, it's pretty quick to design one of those. Print them. I could put it up on thanks.com, but I probably won't get around to it, so I'm not going to promise. Okay, so now we got 6 beautiful little straws here. And the next step is to cut the notches. You can see how these notches are cut in there. You can experiment and see what length notches works best for you. I have a little mark on my scissors to make it easier to get the notches in the right place. And you want the notch deep enough that the rubber band's going to go in there nice and deep, so it's not popping out and giving you problems while you're assembling your tensegrity. So I just line up my notch, and line up my scissors. You want 2 cuts that are opposite each other, one on top and one on the bottom. And then on the other end, you want them to line up. So if this notch is on top, you want this one to be on top as well. So I'm looking at the notch I already have, putting it on top, and I'm going to put my new cut on top. It's not critical to get it exact, but your tensegrity will be a little neater and tidier if you get that on top. Okay, so we have 6 struts now cut, and we're going to want 6 rubber bands. Now this next step is optional. You don't have to do it. You probably don't have this little jig that I have, but I find it's easier to get a good looking Tensegrity if I mark the 4 evenly spaced marks. You'll see when we get this together, this one rubber band is making these 4 tendons, and so I'm going to make these marks, and the marks each go inside a strut. So there'll be a mark for this strut, a mark for that strut, and a mark for this strut, and a mark for that strut on this rubber band, and the same all the way around. So I'm just going to mark these. Just put a pin mark. Now, if you're not careful doing this, I've noticed it's very easy to get ink on your hands, so I just try to grab the corner so I don't get ink on my hands. All right, so now I got 6 of these and 6 struts. So the first step is going to be to put a rubber band on each strut like this. And I'm trying to get the mark. Sometimes these get a little squished. Actually, it would probably be useful to do like that. I'm actually going to go ahead and do that on all these. I'm just opening the ends up. You can see after you cut them, they get a little bit crookedy. And then after I do this though, makes them a little bit nicer, and makes it just a little bit easier to wiggle that rubber band in there. One thing I noticed assembling these is it's often very helpful to put one end of your straw or strut, whatever you're using for a strut, on the table, and easier to push against the table than your other hand, and it gives you almost an extra hand. Okay, now I actually have a little jig that I sometimes use for making these. I'm going to try without the jig, and because you're not going to have the jig, so I'm going to do it without the jig. So, all right, let's look at this thing and think about what we're doing. So these struts actually come in pairs. There's 6 struts in 3 pairs. So one visual sort of way to think about it that helps some people, I think, is that you can orient it like this, so that there's 2 verticals, 2 struts that are vertical, and that pair surrounds another pair of struts that are going towards me and away from me, the in and out. So I have the ups and downs, the ins and outs, and then we have the lefts and rights. And so we're gonna use that as kind of a mental map as we're building this. And right now I'm gonna be putting the ins and outs on the up and downs, if you think of it that way. And yeah, so move over here so you guys can see better. So this is an in and out, this is an up and down. And then we're going to need another in and out down here. Okay, so there's another pair. So these are the ups and downs, and these are the ins and outs. Let's put the lefts and rights on next. And things, you know, could start popping apart, but this actually isn't too bad. Okay, so now we got the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs and the lefts and the rights, but we're still missing some tendons that need to go on. And let's see, I guess it's just these four right here. So we're going to put this one on. This one on. Kind of have to be careful at this stage because before we get everything together, it does kind of want to pop apart. We'll put these two guys on the table. Okay, there it is. Little 6-strut icosahedron Tensegrity made with just paper drinking straws and size 19 rubber bands. Have fun. Thanks for watching.